What's up, everybody? I'm Najee Adams.
And I'm Hunter Jacobs.
And you're listening to the Hoopball Nets podcast. So, this episode is going to be slightly different from most of our episodes. We usually do 2 games, but for this episode, we're going to focus on the Timberwolves game. And for the majority of the episode, we're going to focus on the Caris LeVert injury. If you listen to our last episode, we're recording this, 10 hours after we recorded the last one. So we've gotten good news. Caris LeVert, the injury is not as bad as it looked. He should be able to return. We'll get into that later. But yeah, just a quick rundown of what we're going to do. We're going to recap the game quick and then get into the Caris LeVert injury. Before we get into things, make sure you guys go and follow us and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can search up Hoop-Ball or Hoopball Nets, either one. Make sure to leave a rating and a 5-star rating and a review. We're reading all the reviews on the podcast. But yeah, let's get into it. So, the Nets managed to lose to the Timberwolves. The Nets managed to lose to the Timberwolves 120-113 without having Robert Covington or Sarge playing yet, which they just acquired from the Jimmy Butler trade. LeVert suffered his scary injury late in the first half. He went for a block and landed horribly on his ankle. It was super gruesome. I wasn't watching the game. Were you watching? You was watching the game,
Yeah,
right?
There's a lot of people who thought it was as bad as Gordon Hayward's injury. I personally don't think so, because you could tell from Gordon Hayward's injury immediately that his leg was in 2 pieces. You knew something was broken. For LeVert, you assumed it. It looked bad. But it turned out to be a lot less scary than what you watched on TV. Like, his leg did bend the wrong way, and it did dislocate, but he went without any fractures and no serious ligament damage. So he's really lucky that's how it turned out.
When I first saw it, the first place I saw it was, like most things, Twitter. It looked like I thought it was like a broken leg, like something crazy, but it was actually a dislocated right foot. Everyone thought he was going to keep him out for the season, but it was a dislocated right foot, no fractures, which is a miracle, moderate ligament damage, but he should be able to return. We'll get to his timetable later. When the injury occurred, the whole crowd went silent. Ronda Hollis Jefferson cried. D'Lo had towels over his head. It was a scary moment for the entire crowd.
Anthony Tolliver rallied all the Timberwolves players around the stretcher and had them praying for him. A lot of the Nets players didn't really want a part of it because they were so torn apart that they couldn't even look at him.
And part of why it's so sad is because he was really like a breakout, most improved player candidate, probably the most improved player as of right now.
It was him and Zach LaVine fighting for it right now, and it's just crazy that now he has no chance.
Now, he could have been an all-star. We were going to talk.
I think he would have been an all-star.
The funny thing is, one of our upcoming episodes was going to be, is Caris LeVert an all-star? And now we can't do it because he's not going to be an all-star. But he had a legitimate shot at being an all-star in the Eastern Conference.
He probably would have been. He's averaging 20 points, leading the Nets to the borderline playoffs right now. So
back to the game here. The game itself, 14 lead changes. The Wolves won the rebound battle 52-42. They out-rebounded the Nets 19-9. The Nets out-rebounded them 19-9.
On offensive rebounds.
Yeah. The Nets won assists 28-26. They won steals 10-8. The Wolves won blocks 6-2. And they managed to win turnovers again. I'm reading all of this, and it's like, why did the Nets not win?
Yeah. So the Nets won turnovers again, only turning over the ball 13 times.
Which is still in the double digits, but they forced 23.
That's slightly below their average. Double digits is fine. Everyone's going to average double-digit turnovers. And if you average 14, the Nets have gone from the worst to the
mid-tier.
I say top 10. The rate they've been playing at over the last 14 days is top 5. And they are holding on to the ball. And it sucks to say, but losing LeVert might actually help them even more with turnovers.
It could. Because LeVert handled the ball so much. I don't think he averaged the most turnovers on the Nets team.
No, I think he was second.
But it'll limit the amount of people that have the ball in their hands, so it could limit their turnovers. The shooting, like I said, shooting was the issue for the Nets. It wasn't like any counting stats, but it was their inability to shoot the ball.
They took 21 more shots than the Timberwolves and made 2 less.
That's crazy. They took 101 shots. The Timberwolves took 80.
Taking 100 shots is already crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that they can only make 40 of their 101, that's a problem.
That's 39.6% from the field. They went 18 of 50. About half of their shots were three. They took 53s.
15 of those attempts were from D'Angelo Russell.
That's insane. They took 53s, and the Timberwolves took 23.
And they couldn't really hit their free throws. 15 of 22, 68.2%. The Timberwolves as a team made 42 shots on their 80 attempts. That's good for 52.5%.
That's the second straight game they let an opponent shoot 50% on them.
Yep. And 43.5% from 3, 10 of 23. And a ridiculous 83.9% from the line, 26 of 31.
On to, like I said, that's the second straight game they let their opponent shoot 50% on them. The Warriors, fine, it's the Warriors. But the Timberwolves without Jimmy Butler, you should not allow them to shoot 50% on you. On to the box score. Old reliable Joe Harris wasn't so reliable. He had 8 points on 3 of 15 shooting with 6 rebounds in 33 minutes.
He was 2 of 9 from 3. So between him and D'Lo, they took half of their 3-point attempts.
I mean, we call him old reliable, but obviously he's going to struggle. But out of all the Nets players, I feel like he's been the most consistent.
Yeah, this was his first really bad game like this, where he took a ton of shots and was inefficient.
Public enemy number 1, Jared Dudley, had 8 points on 9 shots with 4 rebounds and 4 assists in 28 minutes.
He deserves nothing.
He should not be playing.
Nothing.
I don't know how many times. I wish Kenny Atkinson listened to his podcast, because there's no way Jared Dudley should be playing.
Every way you break it down, he is the most meaningless player on the court at all times. You can put out Kenneth Faried, and I still say that
I would rather play Kenneth Faried than Jared Dudley. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson started at center because Jared Allen was dealing with the illness. He had 14 points on 5 of 10 shooting with 6 rebounds and 5 assists. He also had 3 steals and a block.
I'll say it was unfair to put him at the 5.
Guarding
with Cat. So, you have Ed Davis. Why you do not start Ed Davis and why you continue to play Jared Dudley as priority number 1 makes no sense to me.
And we're not saying Ed Davis could lock up Cat, but he's better equipped to play defense on Karl Anthony Towns than Rondé Hollis-Jefferson.
And that's not Rondé Hollis-Jefferson's fault because he is undersized. He's a great defensive player.
If the coach tell you start at center, you're going to start at center. So, Alan Crabb,
Alan Crabb, still the largest pile of garbage that the Nets could have ever picked up. I don't know how long you could say, oh, he's rusty from the injury any longer. This man had 6 points on 2 of 9
It's to the
shooting.
point where it's like significant. It's actually like fans on Twitter get happy when he makes a 3. That's his job, is to make
He's
threes.
supposed to be the best 3-point shooter on the team.
Him and Joe Harris should.
And the fact that game after game he's 1 for 8, 2 for 9, 3 for 11, 1 for 7, 1 for 6, 0 for 8. It is just ridiculous.
Dinwiddie fouled out in 28 minutes, but had 14 points on 5 of 10 shooting with 3 assists. DeMarre Carroll had 11 points and 5 rebounds in 23 minutes. They're working him back slow, but this is a good game in my opinion.
So, Ed Davis had 7 points and 14 rebounds. He is the old reliable of rebounds.
He is.
He
really
always
is.
provides the boards.
I love Ed Davis.
Yeah, he's one of the best rebounders in the game. Good pickup for them. And my fan favorite, Shabazz Napier, 4 points, 2 of 2 shooting in 4 minutes. Honestly, you have to free Shabazz Napier at this point. I really do not understand why Kenny Atkinson does not play him. He shoots efficiently almost every game that he gets minutes. He puts up points quickly. He provides spurt scoring off the bench, and he's not the worst defender. So I don't understand what's keeping him in the doghouse.
So for D'Angelo Russell, this was his best game of the season. He led the Nets in scoring. Finally, it took a Caris LeVert injury for him to do it, unfortunately. But he finished with 31 points and 6 assists to go along with 2 rebounds and 2 steals on 10 of 22 shooting, and set his own personal record for threes made in the game, 9 of 15. I personally don't like that 27 of his 31 points came off of three-pointers, because he can't consistently do that on a regular basis. I'd rather see him get 25 or like 20, 23 off of twos and layups, free throws, and then a couple of threes. But no, not 27 of his points came off threes, and there's no way he replicates that in another game.
I mean,
so
it's good to see that he shot 60% from three. He's actually been a pretty good 3-point shooter so far.
I remember, and he was coming off a cold stretch, because remember he went 1 for 6 or 0 for 6 2 straight games.
So he is a good 3-point shooter. He's going to knock down threes, but the startling part is that he was 1 for 7 from shots that weren't threes.
That's what I'm saying. That shouldn't be the case, and he's gonna have to work on that now. On to the Timberwolves side of things.
Okay, so Karl Anthony Towns had one of the weirdest games I've ever seen. He had a 20-20 game, 25 points, 21 rebounds, missed 2 shots, 9 of 11. So you're gonna say amazing game, right? There's what could go wrong. Well, what could go wrong is that the Nets had 13 turnovers, and he had a triple-double with turnovers, as he had 10 himself. So
and they still won.
They won regardless, but he had 10 turnovers by himself. So it's a good game, but some bad in it, I guess. Like for fantasy, that's a 9-cat nightmare with 10 turnovers, but 8-cat super gem. Like, it was a weird game.
For the Nets once again proved that they have trouble guarding guards or opponents' backcourts. They gave up 47 points to D Rose and Jeff Teague.
In Jeff Teague's return, too.
Exactly. D Rose had 23 points and 6 assists, and Jeff Teague had 24, 11, and 3 in 34 minutes. Taj Gibson had 17 and 9 in 33 minutes, and Andrew Wiggins had 13 and 6 in 37 minutes.
I know we shouldn't focus on the Timberwolves at all, really. But do you think Derrick Rose should stay in their starting lineup? He's playing so well. I'm so happy for him. But
I feel like he should. Why take him out? I honestly don't think the Timberwolves are making the playoffs.
What I want right now from them is I hope that... I know they have so much invested in Wiggins, but I really think he deserves to come off the bench right now.
I've been saying this for years, that Wiggins isn't the best player.
With Covington coming back, I think their best lineup would be Teague, Rose, Covington, Gibson, or Saric, and Towns.
I feel the exact same way. I feel like like I said, the Timberwolves aren't making the playoffs. So I mean, they weren't making it with Jim. They barely made it last year with Jimmy Butler. Literally beat the Nuggets on the final game of the season to make it, and they're definitely not making it this year. So sure, leave D Rose in the lineup. On to the Caris LeVert injury and how it's going to affect the Nets. It's bittersweet, more bitter than sweet, of course, because we never want to see someone like Caris LeVert go down. But the sweet aspect of it is it's going to give the other players a chance, a more opportunity to develop. The way we're going to break this down is we've developed 6 questions here, and we're going to go through each one of them. The first one is, what is your starting lineup moving forward, including their overall rotation?
And another sidebar to it is my free Shabazz Napier should be a result of this, although he will not be a starter. But my starting lineup is D'Angelo Russell. Once everyone is healthy, I don't think this will happen immediately. I think what Najee's lineup is, which includes Dinwiddie as a starter.
Well, just spoil it for me.
Will probably happen now because DeMar Carroll's not completely back yet. But I think their lineup should be D'Lo, Joe Harris, DeMar Carroll, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson / Dudley, because he doesn't give up on Dudley, and Jared Allen. So, Joe Harris is all reliable, but he is not big enough to play small forward. He is a shooting guard. He was forced into the 3 by Caris LeVert, forcing his way into the starting lineup. So if they slide him up to 2, that might actually improve their guard defense. DeMar Carroll is a capable defender at the 3. And then you have Rondé Hollis at the 4. That's just a balanced lineup of offense and defense.
For me, I feel like their starting lineup should be their optimal starting lineup for me would be D'Angelo Russell at the Spencer Dinwiddie at the 1, D'Angelo Russell at the 2, Joe Harris at the 3, Rondé Hollis Jefferson at the 4, and Jared Allen at the 5.
/ Jared Dudley at the 4.
Stop it! I'll never say that man's name in my lineup. But and then their 6th man would be Shabazz Napier. I'd basically put him in the Spencer Dinwiddie role, allow him to break out, hopefully, and show why the Nets signed him, because that's basically the role he played for the Portland Trailblazers. So why not allow him to do it here? For me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Leave Joe Harris at the 3. Caris LeVert was the Nets' leading scorer, bringing them about 21 points per game, and they're going to need to make those points up somewhere. So I'm saying having a Dinwiddie D'Lo backcourt is nowhere near equivalent to a D'Lo LeVert, but it's the closest thing they're going to get. And if they want to make up those points, Caris is not giving them anymore. If they want to make up those points that losing Caris loses them, then that would be the best lineup for them, in my opinion. Like Hunter, I'm not a huge Shabazz Napier fan, but I feel like giving him more minutes and more opportunity could only help them. And have DeMar Carroll come off the bench, it'd be a pretty decent bench unit. Definitely not playing Jared Dudley at all.
So your bench 5 would be
Shabazz. It would focus around
Napier,
Shabazz,
Allen Crabbe, DeMar Carroll, Ed Davis, and that's about it.
And whoever you want to put at the 5. Because the Nets clearly don't have a problem with going small, as they put Rondé Hollis Jefferson at the 5 last game. So they don't have a problem with going small. You can put him you can play Jared Allen more than, because right now Jared Allen plays like 24 minutes a game. Sure, you can spend some time with the bench unit and the starters. You can move Rondé Hollis Jefferson around. They have a whole bunch of versatile players, so you might as well use them. Back Kenneth Faried out the garage and play him if you need to.
And so I have my 5 starters, plus the Dudley, who's not going to lose his spot, as the first 6 in the rotation. The 2 off the bench are Napier and Dinwiddie. They're going to be the tandem, with Crabbe as the 3 off the bench. And then whichever one of RHJ and Dudley doesn't start gets to play the 4, and Ed Davis at the 5. And then if you need another 11th player, my next person is Rodions Kurucs, who's made good use of his minutes, but that's only if the game is up a lot, down a lot basketball.
Moving on to the next question, but yeah, that's how we think their starting lineup should be affected, or that's what we think they should do with their starting lineup. Moving on to the next question, how does it impact their free agent recruiting? We're taking a look into the future.
So even though LeVert's not out for the season, it could impact it if he's not the same when he returns around the All-Star break.
Because we're talking about two different things. If Caris LeVert was to have if he doesn't play the rest of the season like we thought, or most people thought yesterday or last night after the injury happened, it's a different story. But now, since he's going to be playing for the rest of because it leaves some sort of, maybe he's still the same player, and he very well could be. But now, if he comes back, his timetable is 2 to 3 months, likely. It's not official, but that's what most people are saying. That's what a doctor said. So 2 to 3 months. We're saying that's going to leave him sometime around the All-Star break. Let's say he comes back after the All-Star break. He's not the same player. That doesn't bode well for their free agency. Because now, instead of having 2 budding stars in D'Lo and Caris LeVert, they now have D'Lo, who, let's say he does have a great season rest of the season, and then Caris LeVert comes back, he's injured, and he may never be the same again. That doesn't bode well for their free agency.
There are no huge free agents that the Nets are going to sign this free agency. So, I mean, if they want
by huge, we mean like Jimmy Butler, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard. Yeah.
Like, the biggest person that I could see them signing is Tobias Harris. He is unrestricted. And think about it. Would you rather be with the Clippers franchise with their core of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Montrezl Harrell? Or would you rather be with the Nets in Brooklyn with their core of D'Angelo Russell, Caris LeVert, and Jared Allen?
True, I'd rather be with the Nets.
So, and they have the money for him.
They're going to have to give him a max.
Tobias Harris is worth it. He's proved it this year. And if they got Tobias, that brings them up to 5th, 6th seed.
Whoa, that's a little.
Definitely.
I go like bubble team 7, 8.
You don't think Jared Allen and D'Lo are gonna develop from year to year?
It depends on how much they develop, but okay, fine, 5, 6.
Because look at what Caris did in 1 year.
Okay.
All it would take is a Jared Allen.
They'd still have Caris
grind.
too, so that's lit.
So, I say they get Tobias. I really hope so.
They have to re-sign
Regardless of
Dinwiddie
this
and
injury,
D'Lo.
I think that you can look at this team and see the potential going forward. So I don't think it will hurt them much in reality, unless LeVert comes back and is noticeably awful. Then that's a problem. But I don't see that happening, and I really hope not. So we'll see.
The third question, should the Nets make any trades if they start to lose? Should they try and move Dinwiddie, Harris, Carroll, Crabbe, etc.?
Everyone except D'Lo and Jared Allen
can go.
Really,
I feel that way too.
can
Everyone except D'Lo, Jared Allen, and Caris LeVert. If you need to trade them, you trade them.
Is it ideal? No. Are they untouchable?
No.
But if they go on a massive losing streak because LeVert is out, and they get an offer for Dinwiddie that involves a pick.
You take it.
They get an offer
for
Harris or Crabbe that includes a pick. They get a salary dump with Crabbe and they get a second rounder. You take these things. Clearing up Crabbe's money is something that is so ideal right now. You don't want that contract. So if moving Dinwiddie for a pick or Crabbe comes up while they're losing, I think they might have to take it.
They have to.
Because this season is not going to go anywhere with LeVert being out, really. The best that can happen is 8th seed, and if it happens, they're just going to get swept by the 1 seed.
The next question is, can the Nets still make the playoffs? I think it's a resounding no. Unless D'Lo takes a ginormous leap and averages like 24, 25 points a game, and becomes like a legitimate franchise player and carries the Nets until LeVert can come back, I don't think they have a chance of making the playoffs anymore. They were, the 8th seed or the 6th seed with Caris LeVert, and now he's out. That's their leading scorer down for a good majority of the season. So, in my opinion, I don't think when Caris LeVert went down, so did their chance of making the playoffs.
So, I think if D'Angelo Russell steps up and plays like how he can play and played in the first 9 games last season, they have a chance at being the 7th or 8th seed. Does that really mean anything? No.
I think if they made the playoffs, that would mean something.
Yeah, I mean, it helps their free agent recruiting. They'd be able to pitch that they were a playoff team without the star that they're trying to get. But obviously they're not winning the championship this season.
Not a chance.
Their goal, I guess, is the playoffs and to look as good for free agents as they can while developing their younger players currently. But I think they can still make the playoffs. They'll have to get some lucky bounces their way, win some close games. But I say no, nothing above the 7th seed, nothing below the 11th seed. They're going to hover around that range.
The next question is, what does this mean for D'Lo? What does LeVert's injury mean for D'Lo?
Okay, so D'Lo didn't want this, obviously. No one wants to see someone on their team get hurt. He was obviously heartbroken by it. He had the towels on his head on the bench. He couldn't look. But
it was the best thing that could happen for his season.
He needed this for his career. It sucks to say he needed Caris LeVert to get injured for his career.
And the pressure's on now. Like there's no time for him to be bad.
This is his opportunity because he has it over Dinwiddie. He didn't last year when he came back from injury, and he didn't the beginning of this year because of Caris. This is now his time. You have the ball. It's your shot to take. You're bringing it up. You run the offense. You decide who gets the ball. You decide who shoots. You decide how the game goes. And he has shown he doesn't know how to decide these things correctly. But
I also feel like this is Kenny Atkinson's time to just be like, listen.
He has to take the leash off.
Buddy. Run free.
Now that Caris is hurt, he has no security blanket to cover him. because Dinwiddie will have to cover Caris' spot. So unless you trust Shabazz Napier so much that you're gonna pull D'Lo to 25 minutes still and pull him every time he gets a turnover or a bad missed shot, things are not gonna go well. You need to let him play 35 minutes a game. You need to let him put up numbers, and if they lose, they lose. But
if they lose, if they lose, they lose.
There's no point anymore of trying to win. Caris went down. That's it.
As sad as that is to say, that's the reality of the situation. There's nothing you're going
to do about it now. So why not let D'Lo and Jared Allen develop, and instead of playing them 24 to 27 minutes, play them 33 minutes plus a game. Like, play them like a normal star would play for teams. Because Jared Allen can play that much. He just struggles a little bit.
Kenny Atkinson doesn't like to play people 30 minutes. I don't think since he's been hired, there's been someone that's averaged 30 minutes.
The second he sees a bad play, he immediately tells someone to go get them off the bench. Like, he's not a friendly coach.
I get the no nonsense type of thing.
Yes.
But at this point, there's no purpose for it.
But think about it. It's like Steve Kerr when Steph Curry goes down. He just lets Quinn Cook play
35 minutes a game.
35, 40 minutes. He just lets Quinn Cook play. And he knows.
And it means those games mean way more for the Warriors. Well, not regular season games, but like.
They know they're going to win, and he just lets Quinn Cook play. Even if he makes a mistake, oh, well, this is how this kid is going to learn. Like, he won't do that with Jordan Bell and stuff when everyone is healthy because there's more ideal options on the court. But there's no more ideal option than D'Lo on the court right now. So I don't understand why he's not going to play him 30 minutes. I expect from here on out to see almost every game 30 minutes in the box score.
Moving on to the last question, do you think Caris will be the same upon return? Apparently, there should be no long-term effects of this injury, but still mentally, will he come back and be the same player? I feel like he should be able to. He's a strong person. And from what I've seen, this isn't the first injury he's dealt with, and he's bounced back every time. So what I'm more worried about is the power dynamic that will be there when he gets back. Because when he left the team, he was the 1A. He was one. He was the number one option on the team, taking all the last-second shots, their best player. If the season goes how we think and D'Lo steps up, by the time he comes back, D'Lo will be in that position. So for him, he's going to have to adjust to not being that star player anymore. It's kind of it reminds me of what happened to D'Lo last season when he played the first 9 games and went down. Spencer Dinwiddie Spencer Dinwiddie broke out, and then D'Lo came back, and he was lost for the first couple of games because it was a different team than when he left.
So, I'll tell you, I think that it's going to be similar to what Gordon Hayward is going through right now. Although Hayward's injury was way more severe, LeVert is going to get in his own head. Every time he sees someone going up for a layup, I believe he's going to think in his head, what if I jump and he lands on my foot again? It's the same thing as Hayward, because if you notice, he's not playing the same way he did in Utah. He's playing pretty bad basketball right now, and a lot of Celtics fans are giving up on him, which isn't really fair to him, being that he's coming off of one of the worst injuries in history. But you get in your own head. Like, Derrick Rose did the same thing. These ACL injuries got in his head, and now he's finally out of his head, and he's playing great for the Timberwolves. He's putting up 20 points a game. He had a 50-point game. He was killing the Lakers. He is back. Hayward can be back if he gets out of his head and starts being aggressive like he was in Utah instead of settling for mid-range jumpers every time because he's afraid to drive to the basket. And if Caris LeVert has the mindset where he can just come back and play the same, great. Then I don't think he'll take any real hit. Maybe his efficiency will go down because he'll be rusty after sitting for 3 months.
The Alan Crabb effect.
But I think he'll still be a lot better than he was last year regardless, and he'll still be the starting shooting guard upon his return. He'll still push Dinwiddie or Joe Harris or Carroll, whoever takes the spot in the lineup out of the lineup.
All in all, it is a horrible thing for Caris LeVert and the Nets have to deal with, but we wish him the best, and we know he'll come back and bounce back and be stronger than ever. On to our bet. If you guys were wondering, we've decided that it's null and void.
Well, we had said that if there's an injury that makes them miss more than, I think, 15 games, that it would be null and void. However,
so no one will be writing anything on their back or torso.
Najee has agreed that if Caris LeVert miraculously still ends up with more Brooklyn Ballers of the Week than D'Angelo Russell, come April, that he's still going to do it.
Right now, he has 3. Right now, Caris LeVert has 3.
D'Lo has to make up 3 by the All-Star
3 months.
break. He has 3 months to get 3.
I should be fine. But, yes, like we said, Caris will likely return at some point. 2 to 3 months. He'll be back. He should be back by the All-Star break, hopefully. And it's good to see that it's not a season-ending injury. Looking ahead, the Nets' next 3 games are the Heat, the Wizards, and the Clippers. All 3 are winnable games. I feel like they can definitely... The most winnable would probably be the Wizards for me.
I would only say the Heat because it's in Brooklyn, but the Wizards are the worst team there.
The Clippers are rolling right now. They just beat the Warriors. If I had to make a prediction, I say they lose to the Heat on Wednesday, beat the Wizards on Friday, and lose to the Clippers on Saturday in Brooklyn. They go 1-3 in these next couple games.
I say beat the Heat, lose to the Wizards, lose to the Clippers.
We shall see. But yeah, that'll be it for this episode, guys. Make sure you follow us on iTunes. Follow us at HoopBallNets. On Twitter, if you want to follow us individually, I'm at Najee Adams _. If you don't know how to spell Najee, it's Najee Adams _ Hunter
at Hunter _JKR.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you all next time.